There we go. Good morning. My name is Marco Pignataro. I'm the program director for the Berklee Global Jazz Institute, and it's extremely exciting and an honor to present this morning the first day of a 3 days presentation of the Master Culminating Experience presentation by our 21 wonderful students. Mao Sone, a big clap for Mao Sone, please. Mao Sone has been with us for more than 3 years in the Institute, and it's very exciting that he's here doing this presentation for us. It's very emotional at the same time. We would like to acknowledge also his mentor, Maestro Tiger Okoshi, please. And his advisor, Carl Riley. Title of Mao presentation is Expressions on the Melody of Kokiriko.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mao Sone. I'm a trumpet player, composer from Japan. First, thanks to Global Jazz Institute and Berklee for putting an amazing opportunity together to share our final project, which we call Culminating Experience. I believe music is a flame to exhibit personal stories. Through music, those stories are reached to the others to become their personal stories. Expressions on the Melody of Kokiriko is a composition of mine that I recorded for today's presentation, that I was trying to identify and substantiate memories of my childhood, of the landscape and the sounds of Toyama, the place that my grandpa and grandma live. Before we continue, I would love to give you some background of this project. It was the end of the 2013. I was struggling to find a way to say where I'm coming from on music. It was very hard because there was almost no model of using Japanese traditional sound into contemporary improvisational music. One day, I was jamming at some club and I played a line. I felt it was the strongest thing I ever played. After the performance, I figured the line was made out of Japanese scale. That's how I started experimenting, merging Japanese music and jazz. I could easily connect to this sound in my personal level because it is a sound of Japanese cultural identity, and also it is easy to connect with my memory of my grandma practicing some old folk song on shamisen, which is a traditional Japanese instrument, in the first floor of our house, and I was hearing at the second floor. As an artist, I was also trying to find the way to help the situation we have had in Japan after Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster in 2011 because of the huge earthquake. Now in my country, a lot of people are sacrificing terror of living, eating, and drinking with high radiation. After the accident, we had not used any nuclear power plants in the country for 3 years, and this truth shows you the fact we can make our living normally without using nuclear plants. Even though the government decided to reactivate plants again in the last year, this is a very dangerous decision because all the plants in Japan are built on the active faults, which has the potential to be occasions of huge earthquake that scientists are expecting to happen from now to 20 years. We have to stop letting the second Fukushima disaster happen. This question came to me. What can I do as an artist to help our country? What kind of music can lead the society to right direction? My answer is, which became my goal of this project, to find ways to use elements of Japanese sound from Asian traditions into jazz as a medium to share the moment with the others from any countries. Here are the three approaches I did for my compositions. Number one, groove study. In Japanese music history, there have been no researches about Japanese groove. Even there are claves inside their music, but the traditional style musicians don't think the same. So I had to transcribe, write notations, study, practice, and try to use them as the material for my compositions in contemporary improvisational music setting. Here are some examples of the groove I found from music in Toyama. This one will be called Oiwake groove, which is one of the common grooves in Japanese folk music. Next one will be called Sobayabushi groove, which I found in this old song called Sobayabushi. The groove is accented in 2 and 4. This last example is a groove and melody from the traditional folk song called Kokiriko Bushi, from which I took the motif and a motif for my composition that I will play later today, featuring traditional instrument called sasara. It's here, and bo sasara. Number 2, the scale study. I made Japanese scale etude to develop our vocabularies for improvisation and compositions. Here's an example. Number 3, innovating and developing Japanese harmony and voicings. Japanese music is linear music, which means that music don't have harmonies and counterpoints. Recently, people started to add normal triads on the melody composed by Japanese scale because of the Western pop culture influence, but these sound far to my orientation. So I wrote a series of voicings that don't break the essence of what Japanese music is. Here are some examples. Now, I would like you to listen to expressions on the melody of Kokiriko. This is a suite formed from 5 different sections: prelude, recollection, landscape, grandpa's garden, and journey. I used the element including grooves, motif, and text from the traditional folk song called Kokiriko Bushi. I had amazing musicians: Isaac Wilson, Max Ridley, Misaki Nakamichi, Leif Serdek, Malta Roma, Taiga Kuni, Lee Abe, Charles Overton, and Takafumi Nikaido. I had engineer Adam Weiss as a mixing engineer, recording engineer, Karim Clark as a mixing engineer. I had amazing help too, thanks to Noam Israel, Carl Riley as my advisor. We've been trying to put this for a year. And my mentor for 8 years, Maestro Tiger Okoshi. who is in the panel today as my committee member, was the recording producer and director.
I really enjoyed the presentation, Mao. I thought it was really complete in many ways. Would you say you're kind of tracing a new way of playing with this kind of music you're putting together? You feel like you're opening up a door for future musicians?
I think we are all struggling to find the answer to why we play in the jazz. In a long history, we've been listening to jazz since, I believe, the 1917. I think before the World War II, and then people were listening. You know, within the long history of listening jazz and playing jazz, I think a problem is to find the identity inside this music. We still play in the 60s, we still trying to import the music, what's going on in here. And then what I was trying to help the scene is to bring this idea in the country, and then we can develop our music. But we still connect with the jazz, and so we're still open with the world music, and that's one thing I was trying to do.
Quickly, he did a fantastic job, as you see it, but we spent some time preparing, and in the studio, you are so efficient, and you didn't waste much time, and you picked the right musicians, treated the musicians very well, and you challenged, I know you challenged it, but there is always a discovery. I'm sure you discover many things you never knew before, right? Yeah. I think so. It was brilliant. I like that. You should sell this to a PBS or something. It's almost completed. Can you believe how he presented this? Wow, great vision of seeing. I don't know where you get those photos.
This is my grandpa's garden.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And if you can remember, when he showed this, his solo trumpet came out. Nothing but solo trumpet. And during the recording, he asked me, Tiger, what should I do here? He was not quite sure what to do. So there is the Japanese song called Shika no ne. Shika is a deer. Mm-hmm. And two deers are talking to each other. According to some story, there are territorial thing going on. The other story is male and female talking. So I asked him to play something higher notes, and low notes, and let them talk. And that's kind of worked in a way, right? It's very important. When he came in with his score, and he tried to explain to me on the piano, but I could tell he was hearing a lot more than he has written on the paper. So after that, I told him, I said, Mao, you're hearing a lot more than that. And he said, yes. And he said, what should I do? So I said, write everything out. I want to take a look at what he has. And record everything you hear, right? It's just great. It's kind of like a Christmas ornament. Many things is better, but to treat unfairly. Don't ever treat the notes equally. Everything doesn't be flat. And I think you did a fantastic job. Sometimes some really sense, soft things going on to build the whole thing. You know, what is important? Important things out there, and the less important things just treated unfairly. But keep paying attention to the rest of the world. It's not only your story, and you're gonna learn about some other people's story. You know, what's going on, and bring our story together. I said I really recommend you to going towards the writing for symphonic orchestra, or in Japan or Asia. We have a lot of brass players out there, and they need a new composer. Not so much of the jazz, but they appreciate that. What you do with 50 people will be great. That's it.
Excellent, great production, arrangement, everything. My question is I heard a lot of rhythm of 5/4, like a 5/4 time signature, especially in improvisation. I was just wondering, is there a rhythm, like with that original piece, is there, does it reference 5/4?
The original groove of this groove is actually in a 6/8 originally, but I took the 1/8 note out, or like I add another triplets in behind. So that's how I made this groove based on the original groove, and then I was trying to add the additional beat or like increase in something so less.
Okay, and is like most of the folk music, is it in 6 or?
Well, we have 6 too, but we have odd meters too, and basically 2 and 3. But most of the folk rhythm is actually kind of swinging, bouncy kind of rhythm. So this is like a slower version of the tempo. So it gets boom, boom, boom. But if you get too fast, that becomes more swingish, if you say so. So it's really easy to connect with the African music, and then we can go to the jazz, contemporary music. That's how I try to connect.
I see. Great. That was my only question. Thanks.
Yes, fantastic music, Mao. I'm very pleased to hear what you did. It's beautiful. Congratulations on that. I just had one question about your presentation. I'd love to go back to the slide about the harmony,
Yep.
if you can. And I just wondered, it went by very quickly, if you could explain, were all the sonorities and chords in there based on that Miyako scale?
This is based on Japanese tetrachord, which is innovated by Fumio Koizumi, who is a musicologist in our country. And he was claiming that Japanese scale is also tetrachord, so we can divide in half and then find the fourth inside that. And then it's a 5-note scale, but even that you can construct as a tetrachord.
I see. So you're distributing the notes in different interval combinations, all the different ways.
That was based on the 5th and the 4th.
Yes.
Yeah, and I have a different one in the 5th only, and I have a series of only 4th.
So one of the challenges when you use folk song music that has a restricted scale with only a few notes is to create, variety in a long piece like this. And I thought you did it really well. And I just wondered if you could explain maybe very briefly, like how do you create variety and still create the feeling and the reference to this 5-note scale? Like, do you use modulation? Do you go outside the scale? Do you use chromaticism? How do you make a long piece interesting in terms of tonality with a simple scale?
There's four different scales in the Japanese scale, and it's all can be put in the order of the brighter to darker, which is like a normal, every scale has a darker and brighter scale. But in the Japanese scale, there's a 4 different thing, and then I always think to go back and what can I move the inner side of the voicing to make it brighter or darker, and that's how I basically work on it. In the future, I will write and perform more works with the ideas I would like to develop the scene for this music. For example, I would like to establish an educational institute that will focus on developing contemporary improvisational music with the element of Japanese sounds for social change. I'm hoping my work will help the issue that the world has, because I believe the music is for all the conditions. Thanks for your participation.
Very evocative, very good work all through the year. Fantastic vision. You walked in from day one with the vision. I have one question about landscape. Was that a sunrise or a sunset?